I feel like this is quite a powerful couple, okay? These are very like extroverted, people-oriented court cards. So what it means is they're very, very financially well off, okay? So she makes her money, he makes her money. If you're dealing with same-sex couples, I feel like, both parties make money. They might be in the creative industry. They might wield a lot of power. They might be in a position where they're managing, supervising, overseeing major, major works that a lot of other people are doing. So I'm seeing like people who are really, really established in their careers. I'm also seeing as well people in the creative industry that has a lot of fame, a lot of fortune. Okay, so we're talking like a really powerful couple. One person might be a lawyer, the other person might be a doctor. They could be, engineers, architects, or just people that wield a lot of skills. They're highly desirable in the workforce. They're very, very career oriented. And as a result of that, I feel almost like their career paths or their life paths are starting to diverge. Okay? So, what was once Six of Cups? This is a card about memories, childhood. It's like the beginning stages of love. It's that puppy love. It's that honeymoon stage. At the very beginning, the situation was like one person was on a higher pedestal. They might have made more money. They might have been already fixed in a career path. They might have more resources. They were putting the other person through some type of either putting somebody through school, like, so for example, if you're in a relationship, one person has already been established in their field, and then they're helping the other person, helping the other person get through college, get through grad school, and they were doing a brunt of the work, okay? And now that this phase is done and over, because it did flip out in the reverse, I don't do reversals with this spread because it's a non-traditional deck, okay? It's like the Tarot of the New Vision. It's reversed in general, because you're seeing the backside of the court cards. But what I'm feeling is one person propped the other person up, made sure that the other person made it. And now that the other person has made it, it felt to me almost like the purpose of this union ceases to exist. Okay? Somebody repay their karma. This is like a karmic debt from another life. Somebody is here to get the other person to the next evolution of their life. And once that purpose has already been reached, the relationship has outgrown its purpose. Does that make sense? That's what I'm feeling here with this power couple, with these two energies of people who are now at a point where they have different goals, okay? And then I also feel like if you have children, and I feel like you very well might have children with one another, if you have children, one person, I feel this emotional distance. And I feel one person is pouring their love into children. Okay, the children are, it's kind of like the reason to be, the reason why we are not splitting up, the reason why we're still in this together. One person is very much focused on the kids and possibly pouring their love and their emotions on the kids. And then the other person feels a little bit left out, like that golden retriever feeling left out because there's a new puppy in the house now. And one person, look at the couple on that chair, okay? Wants the old connection back, wants the time back, where it was just us, where the kids weren't in the picture, where we were, newly in love, newly engaged, without the responsibilities. And then the other person, their focus is very much on child rearing, on parenting, on, I guess, like maintaining the household. And as a result of that, I feel like there's this emotional rift between two people. One person wants more love in the relationship, and the other person is so bogged down with parenting that they feel like their partner is demanding too much of them. And so it's hard to really balance the relationship. For those of you who have children, I feel like you have to take extra care with your relationship partner if you want the situation to turn around for the better. And then for others, I feel like there definitely is a karmic relationship here that has kind of served its purpose, and it's time to go your separate ways because you're either not in love with each other anymore, you care about each other, you have fond feelings for one another, and there's this immense sense, once again, of loyalty where you helped me get to where I am right now, or I helped you get to where you are right now. And we've had like too much of a history together. So let's just ride it out. But I do sense this emotional distance that's not really allowing the relationship to come together. And you're going to have to, go your separate ways. There are a lot of things here that indicate to me major transitions and changes that are coming in when it comes to your emotional state, okay? At the very beginning stages of, like, puppy love, that honeymoon stage, we can deal with a lot of annoyances in the other person. We can tolerate a lot in the other person. But when that baseline love or emotional connection is no longer there, and we have, emotionally distanced ourselves or have emotionally moved on, and we're already thinking about, like, what else is on the horizon? What else is out there for us? I feel almost like the emotional weight of putting ourselves out there again, going through the whole dating spiel, it can feel very awkward. It can feel very daunting. In a way, it's a little bit exciting, but in other ways, the newness, the strangeness, the lack of familiarity can feel almost like this tsunami that's gonna come over us and envelop us and drown us. And so there is a situation here where the emotional connection, I feel, is no longer there. Somebody feels very much left out in the cold, okay? Dejected and feeling very underappreciated. And then, as a result of thinking about and projecting, what is my single life going to look like? On the one hand, there are a lot of options. On the other hand, I'm going to have these awkward conversations like, I have to find a new partner that's going to be accepting of my kids. I'm going to have to, divvy up assets. We're going from a 10 pentacles to the 5 of pentacles, divvying up assets, having to go out on the dating world, having to make sure that you're comfortable with blended families, having to make sure that the people that like us are also welcoming of our children, of the whole blended family situation. And so I feel like you want to act, or somebody in this situation wants to act, wants to leave, but the future on the horizon looks a little bit scary, okay? You see that big wave, and you see this man floating in a chair. It's almost like an SUV when you turn, when you make really sharp turns, you topple over, and that's what it feels like. He's on this high chair, and this wave is coming in. That boat is barely surviving the wave, and he's anticipating, like, am I going to get knocked over? Am I going to sink because the chair is made from stone, right? So a situation is really, really scary, and you might have been very afraid to leave the situation. But I feel like you're determined and you're making up your mind that you're going to go forth and prosper, because whatever is happening here is just not as tolerable. And what I feel happening here is you are going to work up the courage. You're going to gain that strength, and you're going to be pretty much resolute, not only emotionally, physically, overcoming these fears that you have in your head about what the next phase of your life is going to look like, but you're going to take a plunge and you're going to move forward. For some of you who might be dealing with a fire sign, Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, and especially if this is a romantic partner, this can be their sun, moon, or rising. I'm sensing as well, okay? Um, I feel like, there's definitely a need to re-examine a relationship. I feel a sense of defensiveness. And I feel almost like they're holding back a lot. They have a lot that they want to tell you, but the moment is never right. They have a lot of, I'm hearing like grievance. Anytime we're dealing with another person, okay, there are things that they're going to do that always ticks us off. And there are things that we do that we might not be aware of that ticks them off. And when we're dealing with another human being, and especially if they're a different sign than us, the ways in which we communicate our appreciation or love is always going to be different. And so I feel like somebody's really holding back information. Not that they're deceptive. I don't see deception in this spread. I don't see infidelity. I don't see cheating. I don't see any of that. But I do feel an emotional disconnect between a partner, a couple, a very established couple, especially. And if you're dealing with a fire sign, um, I'm sensing, they might be wanting to tell you, hey, this relationship is getting a little bit stale. Let's stir things up. Let's try something new. Let's try to revive. Or they might be telling you, they might be feeling like a little bit left out. They might be feeling that your attention is elsewhere and not really given to them. So this could also be, if this is, not a long-standing relationship, if you're not in a long-standing relationship, and if you're dealing with someone who is of a fire nature, um, so Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo, I feel like they're getting ready to walk away because they feel like the appreciation is not there from your end. They feel like your focus is elsewhere, and they feel like they want to move forward. And you know fire signs are usually very expressive. They when they get angry, everybody in the room is going to feel it, is going to know it. When they get frustrated, everyone knows energetically, but also because they are very good at showing emotions, okay? And oftentimes they scream, they yell, they boil over, and then they get over it, which is amazing. They don't hold things in, but for whatever reason, I feel like this person has been holding a lot of stuff in. And I feel it's mainly because their pride is pricked. Okay? When fire signs like to be doted on. Okay? They're kids at heart, and they like to be the center of attention. And this is not just Leos, all fire signs, I feel. They like to be appreciated, they like to be acknowledged. And I feel like somebody has been putting themselves out there multiple times and might not have been met with the reciprocation or the appreciation that they feel they deserve. And when they feel undeserved, or they not undeserved, when they feel underappreciated, it really hurts their ego. And I feel like, they're not going to soak in silence. They're just going to bounce. They're just going to bounce into the next situation or go off with somebody else that will give them that attention, that wholehearted attention, and that will, give them what they feel they deserve. And like I said, it's not about infidelity. It's not about finding, a new young thing that they can get involved with while they're involved with you. It has nothing to do with infidelity or cheating or anything like that. It's just they're going to tell you, I'm out. And then that is going to give them leeway to look for other things that stirs their passion, or where they feel like the efforts that they put in are being reciprocated. So I do see an emotional rift here between two people. If this is something that you want to fix, I'm sensing it requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of courage to really, really be available and to be able to talk to this person. It's like, prying the answers out of the lion's mouth. Okay, lions are proud creatures. So it requires a soft touch. It requires finesse. It requires patience. And it requires coming from a space of wisdom, like this angel. She's got that infinity symbol. It's not about, who's right and who's wrong, or, coming in and just be like, stop acting up. Tell me what's going on. You have to approach this situation with a little bit of finesse, with a little bit of softness, in order to get this person to open up. So be very, very gentle and delicate. The person shows up as a king, And I feel like in a way it might be a facade. Okay, they're kingly in the way they make money, in the way that they rule people, meaning they can delegate, they can take care of business, they can bring home the money. They're very reliable, they're very intelligent, they're very much about, it's almost like somebody who has a really keen business sense, and they can spot the next opportunity, and they get in there and invest in that big opportunity because they understand it's going to pay out in the long run. So this is like somebody with that type of a business sense. But when it comes to their emotional development, they might be a little bit different, and they might be very, very risk adverse when it comes to emotional investment, investing in new people. I'm seeing a situation here where there's a lot of sunk cost in a relationship. So like, I've invested all of these years. I've invested all of my energy. We've got kids together. We've got possibly, a house together. Our family knows each other. My siblings know about you. Your siblings know about me. For Thanksgiving or for Christmas or for major holidays, everybody gets together. So the situation, there's a lot of sunk cost. And as a result of it, if we walk away from the situation that we have built up over many, many, many years, we can't really extract the sunk cost. It has already been sunken into this situation. If we were to part ways, if we were to leave, we both end up in this state of, deprivation. But staying in this situation also brings about deprivation. So I definitely feel there's a lot of push and pull here. Do I stay or do I go? Do I move forward or do I, try to fix this? Um, I'm feeling as well, there's a situation where, so I feel like you might be dealing with a partner, or you might be dealing with some major financial uncertainty in your life. Okay, so like you might be dealing with a partner who's facing a lot of financial uncertainty. And in particular, if it's a water sign too, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, okay? This is a person that is really looking at the waves that are coming in. And it's linked up here with the Five of Pentacles. So they're seeing a lot of financial uncertainty. You yourself could be experiencing this. And I feel like, that lack of a financial foundation is creating a lot of anxiety within you, a lot of uncertainty. And so you're trying to find the quickest way. I'm sensing once upon a time, you might have been like, very, very, you might have been like in that wishful thinking stage, or that I don't want to say wishful thinking because that sounds almost condescending, but I feel like you were that idealist. You were that person that's like, I want to major in liberal arts and I want to change the world, even though you knew the career prospects after graduation was not looking great. But you wanted to do it anyways because it was something that your heart was 100% in, right? Like it stirs your heart, it stirs your passion. But the reality of it after graduation was everybody with an accounting degree got jobs. Everybody with an engineering degree got jobs. Everybody with a finance degree got jobs. And those liberal arts major are just like, we're not able to find work. We're, piecing together a lot of odd jobs in order to make ends meet. So I feel as if for many of you, you might feel almost like your financial future looks very, very uncertain because you pursued a career that really stirs your passion. But in the real world, in the practical world, your salary might not match up to your education. And now you're feeling like, what do I do now? Do I backtrack? Do I try to, pursue a different course, like a different career path? Or do I keep going, embrace, and hope that something in the future is going to come?